Hey guys, it's me again. It's been a while. Kind of a little update on what's been going on. So, for those of you who don't know, I had to quit my job because I have no way to get to and from work. My car completely crapped out on me. So, thankfully, it did last pretty long after getting the suspension fixed after having my wreck. But that's not what today's video is going to be about. Today's video is going to be about um, my fertility issues and like stuff that had led up to it and kind of like my journey. So we're going to fast or rewind back to, I want to say, high school. So high school was, I graduated in 2011. Um, But when I first started, uh, I got put on birth control at the age of 11, 12, just because it was pretty terrible, pretty heavy, pretty painful. I would stay in bed for 3 days. It's just not a good thing. Most of the women in my family do have really bad menstrual cycles. Um, so then I stopped taking that, and fast forward to my senior year of high school, I started taking the Depo-Provera shot, and that was okay. I was with my ex-husband at the time. I was 17, and I think he was 20 or 21. And then we got married in 20, 2012 or 2013. Um, and like we weren't trying for like I don't know how to explain that whole situation, but I had been off the shot for over a year by the time we had gotten married because we had moved out to California, so I didn't have um, a doctor out there to do my birth control shots, so I stopped taking them. And within that year, after taking it, I kind of blew up. Went from 89 pounds to 150. It screwed up my thyroid, um, and I didn't have a cycle. Uh, so about uh, 6 months after that year mark of being off of it, I finally got my cycle back, and then it began to regulate. I was on thyroid medicine at the time, and I had went and dropped all the way back down to 89 pounds within 7 months. I also wasn't eating at the time. I guess you could say that I did have an eating disorder. I had one in high school. That's why I stayed pretty small. So, uh, and then of course I was with some other people. 2015 came around, and I got pregnant with my daughter. Um, and it was a pretty normal pregnancy. My thyroid went from underactive to overactive, so they put me as a high risk, and around 7 months pregnant, I had dilated to 4 centimeters, and they pretty much just wanted me on bed rest. And I gave birth to her a year, or not a year, sorry, 4 weeks early. Um, so I was supposed to have her in February, and instead I had her in January. Um, so after that, I got put on the Nexplanon implant. That made me feel really, really sick, so I wasn't on that. And then I got back on the Depo-Provera, because at first I didn't think that the shot necessarily made conceiving difficult. And my doctor said that once I get off of it, between 3 to 6 months, I should go back to normal, and I should be able to conceive within a year. And it's been over a year. I'd gotten my cycles back. Um, I had secondary amenorrhea. I'm not sure how to pronounce it. But I didn't have a cycle, and then when I did get a cycle, I wasn't ovulating. My luteal phase was pretty short, so I was constantly bleeding. I would have a break for like 3 or 4 days, and then I would have a cycle again. And then so I got put on the pill to regulate my cycles, and I had a bad reaction to the pill. I blew up even more, so my face was pretty um, swollen. My body was pretty swollen, and so they took me off of that and put me on the mini pill. So since I got on the mini pill, I have lost about 10 to 15 pounds. Um, my face is my face is slimmer than it was. It's still not where I want it to be, um, but I no longer have trouble breathing. I don't have to carry my inhaler along with me. They say that my thyroid is fine, even though they're borderline level of being underactive. But I stopped taking the birth control pill about 2.5 weeks ago because it completely stopped me from having a cycle. Like, I haven't had one in like 3 or 4 months since being on the mini pill. And that's pretty much the same thing that the Depo-Provera did. It completely stopped me having a cycle, and I know that that's not normal. It's not normal to not bleed and stuff like that. So now I am trying to wait for my body to get the hormones out. The Before I started the birth control, though, I did get tested, and it showed my hormones were out of whack. Now I had high estrogen levels and low progesterone levels, and apparently the high estrogen caused me to gain a lot of weight as well. And I went from like 105 to the last time I weighed myself, I was like 140ish. But back in like April, May, I was over 150, and you could see from a lot of my pictures that I was really bloated. It was very uncomfortable. I was very swollen. My hands were really swollen. I had to get a new ring because my wedding band didn't, none of my rings fit. So I got this, which is beautiful. Love it. But now I'm able to fit into medium large pants, whereas before I was in like extra large clothes. Half of my, my underclothes didn't fit me. Um, so now I'm able to wear like medium large sports bras um, and stuff like that. So basically, I talked to my OB, and she said, okay, well, if you get off of the birth control, there's nothing else I can do for you. So they're not going to send me to a specialist. They don't want to see what's causing my my hormonal issues, which I know that it is being caused by the Depo-Provera and the synthetic hormones that was inserted or injected into my body. So just if you're gonna take birth control, try to do the non-hormonal. Everyone is different. Some people can get pregnant, no problem. Other people, like me, it takes a while. Which is funny because I mean, my mom, she could probably sneeze and get pregnant. Um, when she was my age, she has 3 kids, and I don't think my mom really had any trouble getting pregnant. Um, so it's difficult. I was talking to a lady at church about it, and she didn't know about the trouble that I was having because having my daughter was really unexpected. I had gotten a divorce not even a year um, prior to getting pregnant, and I had just gotten out of another relationship. So I was separated from my ex-husband, but I was in a relationship, like I was legally separated and going through the divorce process, but I was in a relationship with someone else, and then that ended, and I met my wonderful husband now, and I think a lot of people don't realize like how frustrating it can be and how stressful it can be. Like, we're not trying to have a baby right now. I'm just trying to get my body um, back on track. I think for a while we were like not trying, but we weren't preventing, and it's hard. It's really hard when you think, oh, this is the month, this is the month, and then you take a test and it's negative, and people who can sneeze and get pregnant, or like you see a lot of people, and I'm not saying that no one deserves a child, but in certain situations you don't necessarily want to bring a child in to people are still doing that, and it's frustrating because it's like, okay, well, I don't do drugs. I don't go out and party. I take care of my child that I have now. I was working. I'm staying at home again because of the car situation. Like, we're not like millionaires or anything. We're not rich by any sorts, but we're able to keep food on the table, and we're able to keep clothes on our daughter. We're able to keep a roof on our head. We have our bills paid. Um, so you see things like that, and you're like, okay, well, like got back in church, did everything that I needed to do, and I'm like, so why are people who don't deserve to have kids? I'm not saying like they don't deserve, but people who um, don't treat their kids the way that they need to, or people who can't take care of their kids keep bringing kids into the situation, whereas you have people like me who try and no matter how hard they try, it seems like it's not going to work, or it's not good enough. And I feel like it's not necessarily fair, I mean, it's like no one's going to help me, no one understands unless you're in that position. And it's hard to explain to people because they're like, oh, well, maybe it's just not in the cards, like, or leave it up to God or whatever. And I'm like, you don't say that to someone, you know, like, that's really insensitive to say to people who are having trouble. Or, you don't go and ask them, oh, when are you guys going to have kids? Because you don't know the struggle, you know, you don't, that would, that's insulting. It's insulting to people who are struggling with fertility issues, and it's not as easy as some people. And then you have people that are going out and getting abortions, or picking and choosing what kid they have, and stuff like that. And I'm just like, that's not fair. So I feel like, okay, so God's gonna sit there and let people get pregnant who go out and have abortions and continuously do this, but you're not letting someone who would bring that child into the world to be able to conceive. It doesn't seem fair, and like, as a woman and as a mom, like, that really hurts, because you have all these things that are supposed to work inside of you, and they don't work, and it makes you feel less of a woman, less of a mom. It feels like you're not good enough, and it's really frustrating because, excuse me for a second, it's frustrating because, like, that's the one thing that you're supposed to do, is you're supposed to be a mom. I love having a career. I love that, but I love my daughter more than anything, and she wants a sibling, and I can't give that to her. And I know it's not my husband's fault. I know it's my fault because it's my body, and it's frustrating because, you know, it's really sad, and it's something that you don't necessarily get over. But for those of you that are going through it, just take it one day at a time. Um, I do get to spend one-on-one time with my daughter more, and I love it. I love the person that she's growing into, and I know that I'm doing a great job as a mom, even if it's just with her. I just wanted to share these thoughts with you guys for anyone who is possibly going through the same thing as me, who doesn't really have anyone that they can talk to about it, or they don't feel like they can talk to anyone about it because they don't understand. Um, so I'm always here if you guys want to talk. If you guys have any questions or anything, let me know. If you guys are going through something similar, you can always inbox me. Uh, just wanted to have this video, and keep your heads up and everything. I know it's difficult. I'm trying, and hope you guys have a great one. Bye, guys.